Hello everybody, my name is Khaled Siddiqui, and in this video I'm going to teach you how to replace the touchscreen or digitizer in a Garmin Nuvi 2460 GPS. Garmin Nuvi 2460. Okay, so here's how we start. The first thing we need to do is put something soft, lay the GPS flat, facing down, and we need a screwdriver with the T5 267 T5. This is WeHa tools. It's a very high quality German made tool. You don't necessarily have to use this high quality tool. Anything that's the size T5 would work. The 40 is the length, that's 4 centimeters or 40 millimeters, and the actual size is T5. Alright, let's open these screws. We have 4 screws to open. Okay, I already took out 4 screws. Always keep the screws somewhere safe so you can find them. You cannot afford to lose them. Now, once the screws are out, it's a little bit tricky how to take out the front panel from the back panel. You need long nails, so you have to kind of insert your nails like this. Watch. It's a little tricky, so it's going to take several attempts. Without nails, if you use like metallic tools, you will scratch the GPS. So that's the catch. That's the reason why I'm using my nails. And you have to have not long nails and strong nails. You could use those plastic prying tools that they use for opening old iPods. But yeah, you could also use your nails. Alright. So once you open this, be careful because there's a very fine wire, which is the microphone wire, attached here. So you have to unplug that like that so you don't break that. Now you have to be very careful with the ribbon cable. This ribbon cable is attached here, and this switch multi-pin connector has a little latch that's holding onto the cable, and the latch has to be bent this way like that. So watch how I do it. There. So basically it was in this position and I opened it this way, and now the cable is disengaged and released. We have no business with this side of the GPS. We set it aside, and this is where we need to do our surgery. We want to replace the touchscreen or digitizer. First thing we do is disengage or detach the frame from the screen itself. That's not very hard. You pull the frame a little out, and these latches that are holding this way, you have to push them out this way to release the screen. So the latches are like this and like this, like 2 of them like that. You push them out this way and it will release the screen. Actually there's one here and one here, so they're like this. You have to push them out this way. There, and then a couple are on top. So you have to basically disengage the top part first. This top, the bottom part slides out. Watch, like that. See, these don't move. They're not movable or disengageable. The screen slides under it like this, and then snaps in on the sides and on the top. Okay. So this is out. We have no business on this edge, on this frame either. This is where we will be working on. First thing, we have to remove this little foam. You can use electrical tape instead, so you don't have to worry. You could use these electrical tape. This is not electrical tape, this is some sort of foam or something, but instead you can use electrical tape. It's something that's easily accessible everywhere. Okay. There you go. Okay, so basically I removed it everywhere. Be careful when you remove it from this part so you don't destroy this ribbon cable. So this is basically trash, this plastic. It can be reused, but it's not going to work the same as using fresh tape. So let's remove these particles because they will stick to the screen and cause problem. Okay, so here's our LCD. We have to desolder this part. Before we do that, there is a tape we need to remove. Very, very fine tape. So there is the tape. I'm removing the tape. 1 second. Okay, after we remove the very fine tape, which covers the connectors here, the fine tape covers the connectors. Now we can desolder this to remove the cable. To desolder it, what we need is a soldering iron. Let me get the soldering iron. The soldering iron must be set to 700 degrees. You could make it hotter, but it's not recommended. And before I use the soldering iron, I want to make sure that this is not, yeah, it does have glue. See? So what you have to do is kind of unglue that, because see how the screwdriver goes inside. There is a glue, like a layer of glue, stickiness, like glue or adhesive, and you want to make sure that you disengage the adhesive before you heat it up, because it wouldn't even come off despite heating it up if there is adhesive here. Okay, so I removed the adhesive, and now I'm going to heat it up with this. Notice how I'm going sideways to heat up all the pins at once. There you go. So that is done. Okay, now what we need to do is separate the front frame from the LCD, the actual LCD. This side is the LCD, this side is the touch screen or digitizer. They're two separate things, so we have to remove them. Detach it, separate them, separate them. Okay, so I do that, and then I go here, and I do that, and there. That should be enough. Be careful not to push it apart, because you will break the screen. You have to do it very gently, like layer by layer, like this. Yeah. Okay, so this is the front part where the touch screen is, and this is the back part where the actual screen is, the LCD, liquid crystal display. Nothing is wrong here. This is not the touch screen. We leave it alone. We'll set it aside. This is the part that we will be working on. We need to separate this glass from the metallic piece on the back or the rear frame. Okay. For that, what do we need? We need heat gun. This is not the ordinary heat gun. It's it's not like a hair dryer. It's a very high temperature heat gun, which will burn your hands. So be very careful when you're using this. So I'm heating it up first in the corner, and then I will slide the knife underneath between the glass and the metallic frame which the glass is glued onto. So, okay, I guess that's heated enough. There you go. And now I'm sliding it slowly, just like peeling potatoes. Okay, set aside the heat gun and you are good to go. Make sure not to touch this, it's going to be very hot. So I'm getting used to it. I know how to touch it without burning my hands, but it is really hot. So this is the touchscreen which had few scratches on it. Now I'm going to get the replacement one. Okay, so this is the replacement screen which I ordered through eBay. I mean, you can buy these things literally cheap, like $5–6. They come from China, but you know, they do the job. They're not very pricey. Okay, be careful. You have to remove that protective plastics from both sides, and sometimes removal of that you could break the screen, so be very careful. Don't pull it this way because you apply pressure to the screen. So pull it this way, like this, so you don't apply pressure to the screen. And also be careful not to cut your hand, because this is sharp. It has sharp edges. This is glass, so be careful. This is the adhesive cover. So when I'm pulling this off, the adhesive surface will basically be available for attaching to this. So you have to be very, very gentle not to stick your hands there. So I have uncovered the adhesive, and now I'm going to apply pressure like that, and apply pressure here. Make sure you don't put fingerprints on the back side, because if you put a fingerprint on the front side you can clean it later. But if you put a fingerprint on the other side and the inner side, to clean it you have to take the screen apart again. So it's really hard to have fingerprints there. A lot of headache. You don't want to do it. So this is the screen. I'm going to make sure there are no dust particles. No dust particles. You cannot have dust particles trapped inside. If you do, it's going to look unprofessional. It's going to bother you when you're using the GPS. So make sure you don't. So this will snap back in place. So snapping back in place. Now is the soldering part, which is not our favorite part. Okay, so here is a real life situation that I have encountered. The width of the replacement screen doesn't match the width of the actual original screen. Basically, it's not as wide. See this? Actually, let me zoom in. Let me zoom in the camera. Where is the remote? Let me zoom in the camera. Zoom. Okay, that should be enough. Enough zooming. Alright, so see this? The replacement screen is a little less far apart than the original one. So I have to cut it and basically split it. So cut it and split it like that. So this is very critical. I'm glad this problem came into surface, because otherwise you wouldn't have learned. But now you're going to learn the worst case scenario. So I'm going to put a business card underneath. It's good to put something hard underneath, like this. Make sure you don't scratch the new screen. And I'm going to use a very sharp knife. These are you can buy these at 99-cent stores. Sharp. Make sure it's very sharp. If it's not sharp enough, you break away the front blade like that and throw that away, and now you have a very sharp edged. Now I'm going to cut this. Okay, notice how I separated them. Now we'll see if that's enough or we have to separate them even further, like individually. Hopefully we don't have to separate them individually. Okay, so I'm gonna use a piece of tape here. Always fold the edge of the tape. One edge you have to fold it so it's easier to remove it, to peel it off. Okay, now it's the moment of truth, which we will see. Okay, it appears like a single cut in the center did the job, so I don't have to cut it further. I'm gonna need some soldering paste. There are different types of soldering paste. They have solid ones like this, and they have the actual paste. I'm gonna put a little bit of soldering material on this edge too. My God, this is becoming a lot more involved than I originally anticipated. Okay, so now first I'm going to solder the first two. So I'm gonna need much better magnification. Okay, just to be on the safe side. Just to be on the safe side, I'm going to you must have plenty of soldering paste, because if you don't, you develop solder bridge. And that's the last thing you want, solder bridges. I'm not sure if you saw that, but there was a development of solder bridge which I undid with the soldering iron. That looks good. All 4 pins appear to be good. Okay, I'm going to double check with a very strong magnifying glass, which is a camera lens in reality. Yeah, everything looks good. Everything looks good. Alright, so now we are going to put a little piece of tape there. Just a little piece of tape. I'm gonna need to cut this. Okay, so there it is. And see how this cable was a little longer, so how it loops right there. We can do that, fix that by after putting tape. Fix it by folding it down and use additional piece of tape. But you have to kind of take it under control so it doesn't get in your way when you're trying to put it back together. So there. Now we don't have excessive wires hanging. Okay, now it's time to put the seal around it using electrical tape. Okay, so you want to cut this much. You don't need to be exactly accurate. It can be a little short, but it cannot be long, because then it will not fit in the corners. When you try to put the screen back together, it's going to cause you problems. Okay, so there. See how a little short it is? No big deal. In real life, it works fine, regardless if it's a little short or not. Make sure that the tape does not overlap and covers the screen touch area, because then the tape itself will press the touch area. So if your tape is folding too much inwards, it will go to the touch sensitive area, and then the calibration will be off, because the tape is actually pressing on the screen as if your finger is pressing on the screen. So be careful there. Okay, now I'm gonna cut another piece of tape. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see more area. Okay. You need to cut this and cut here. Fold it down, fold it down. Tapes here, and one piece of tape there, and one piece of tape here, and we are almost done. That's that. Tape is there. We need another piece of tape. Okay, so there you go. Now we will put it back inside the frame. Again, as I said, the bottom portion slides in and the top portion snaps in. There. Snapped in, and snapped in. So there's one tab here, one here, one here, and one here. 4 tabs are holding it, and the bottom slides in. Now we will take the bottom part, or I should say the back part. We put this in. Make sure it goes all the way in, like not halfway in, all the way in, and then lock this way. It's like this, lock it this way. There, so it's locked. Now I will put the microphone wire back in place. This is the microphone for Bluetooth and voice command. Okay, that's the microphone wire. Now I snap it back in place. Snap everything back in place. And put back the screws. Let's test this puppy. Okay, so before we test it, before we put the screws back in, we have to test it to make sure the operation was successful. So this is the cradle, and that's the power. I snap it back into place. Let it boot up all the way. That's 2460, as you can see. Garmin Nuvi 2460. I let it boot all the way before I can test the screen. Okay, so the screen works. However, it might need calibration. It might need calibration. Let me see if it needs calibration. I go to where to? I go to address, spell town, back, and if whatever I press, if the one next to it is being pressed, I need calibration. Watch. See, I'm pressing 7 and U is pressed. I'm pressing H and N is pressed. Watch. If I press D, C is pressed underneath. So this needs calibration. How do we calibrate? Watch. Turn this off and completely turn this off. And then hold your finger in the upper left corner as you turn it back on. Hold your finger. Oops, I was too late. I was too late. Let's do this again. Yeah, hold your finger as you turn it on. And you have to wait. You cannot just hold your finger for a few seconds. You have to wait a good 30 seconds or more. So I'm waiting patiently. I'm waiting patiently. My patience is running out. I'm just kidding. Okay, so there's the touchscreen calibration. So you have to press a dot. Okay, let it warm up a little bit. Okay. You simply follow the dot everywhere it goes until you get the calibration complete. This, okay, because it's too pointy, it's taking forever. Usually it doesn't take this long, and only like 4 or 5 clicks it should be done. I'm not sure why this is taking forever. I mean, it doesn't give me calibration complete. Let's do it again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, something's wrong. Let me redo this. Okay, I had to let the battery charge a little bit before I had to redo the calibration. So that's what I did. I let the battery charge and now I'm redoing it. Okay, calibration complete. It took way too many hits. It shouldn't do that. So I'm not sure why it took that many hits. Okay, spell town 6 yellow Union, Hotel, Good, Boy, Nancy, Mary, I, Ostrich, Patrick, 1, 2, 3, Queen, William, Apple, Sam, Zebra, X-ray. So everything seems to be aligned and seems to be good. Cancel, cancel, cancel. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it off and remove this cradle and put back the screws. Put back all the screws. Alright, alright, alright. I'm putting back all the screws. Okay, all the screws are in. The unit is back as good as new, as if nothing happened. And here is the screen which we took out, which had the screen scratches, because of which we replaced it. Alright, so I hope this video was educational. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.